Hey guys, so today I'm filming my first video in a brand new series that I'm very excited about called Palette of the Month, and I was completely inspired by my friend Amanda Alexander, or Fashion Footing on all of her social media. So Amanda has been posting on her Instagram weekly what palette she's going to be using for that week. Amanda's been doing it since the middle of the year, and on her YouTube channel, which is Amanda Alexander, she posted a video of her palette of the week roundup, showing you all the palettes that she used and letting you know her thoughts on the palettes. I'll have that video linked down below. Please make sure you go watch that and check out her channel. But Amanda completely inspired me to do this series. So I've mentioned on my channel several times that I am a single shadow person. I'm not really a palette person, but luckily that's something that I have discovered, and I didn't buy a single palette in 2015. I did have two sent to me by companies, and I did get one as a surprise gift for Christmas, but I did not purchase any palettes throughout the year, even though it was very tempting because I knew I just wouldn't get the proper use out of them. But I do still have a lot of amazing palettes in my collection that have beautiful shades and fantastic formulas, and they deserve some love. So I figured that doing a palette of the week would be a little too much for me right now, so I'm going to be doing palette of the month. So in my monthly makeup basket for that month, I will show you the palette that I'm choosing, and then at the end of the month I will post this video. And what you can expect in these palette of the month videos is that I will talk about the packaging, I will show you all the shades, give you swatches, I will let you know what shadow looks I made with this palette, I'll let you know which shades are my favorite, my least favorite, what I think about the quality and the texture of the shadows, and my overall thoughts on them. So I hope you guys are going to be excited for this series. I know I am, and I'm really hoping that I will get creative with my palettes, because another one of the big problems for me is that once I discover one look in a palette, I will wear it all the time, but I don't try to get creative and come up with more looks. Palettes have so many shadows that I would be able to create so many looks. So that is going to be my particular challenge for this, is to go out of my comfort zone and really explore these palettes and get creative and just play. So for my very first palette of the month video, I'm going to be talking about the Kat Von D Innerstellar Palette. And this is what the packaging looks like. It's really cute. And then on the back, you have all of the names of the individual shades, which I love. I much prefer having the names on the packaging than I do having them on that little plastic sheet that everybody hates. And the packaging for this palette is a really thick, sturdy cardboard with a magnetic closure, which is actually my favorite packaging for palettes. I just feel like it's really practical and it's really easy to open and close, because some palettes can be so difficult to open. So I absolutely love the packaging. It also comes with a huge mirror, which is perfect for traveling, or if you are in college and you have a community bathroom and you need to do your makeup in the bathroom or set it up on your desk, that mirror is perfect. So this is what the inside of the palette looks like. The layout is very similar to the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette, the Chrysalis palette, and the Monarch palette. So you have 12 shadows. You have these three larger base shadows here, and then you have 9 shadows that are more of a typical size. Kat Von D does have these palettes set up into 3 little quads. Of course, you don't have to wear the shadows that way, but if you are overwhelmed by all the colors and not sure where to start off with your eye look, it's definitely a great idea to start by using the quads, get to know the formula, work with it a little bit, and then get creative and use a bunch of the different shades. So I'm going to go through and tell you all of the names. We have Lichen, Killing Moon, Moonshine, 3 AM, Vast, Orion, Darkstar, Astrological, Gravitron, Lunacy, Dios, and Nightcrawler. So now to show you the swatches, we have Lichen, Killing Moon, Moonshine, 3 AM, then we have Vast, Orion, Darkstar, Astrological, then we have Gravitron, Lunacy, Dios, and Nightcrawler. So I really love the colors in this palette. They're all really cool tone. You have some beautiful taupey shades, silvery shades, and you do have some pops of purple thrown in there, which I think is so pretty. And now to tell you about the looks that I created with this palette. I only created 3 different looks. I'm a little bit bummed with myself. I really want to challenge myself next month to come up with even more looks. I really wore the look that I'm wearing today the most because it is my favorite look, so I'll tell you what colors those were. On my lid, I'm wearing Lunacy. As a transition color, I'm wearing Killing Moon. In my crease, I'm wearing Astrological, and as a brow bone highlight, I'm using Gravitron. So Lunacy is a shimmer finish, and then Astrological, Killing Moon, and Gravitron are all matte finishes. And then I did create a purple look with this palette. I wore Orion on the lid, Killing Moon as a transition color, 3 AM as a crease color, and Gravitron as a brow bone highlight. And then I also created a dramatic silver look. So I wore Dios on the lid, Darkstar in the crease, and I wore Gravitron as a brow bone highlight. So even though I did only create 3 looks, I feel like they are 3 different versatile looks. I have a taupe look, purple look, and a silver look. So I am really happy that within this palette, I am able to create 3 different looks, and I really do love the colors that they chose to put in this palette. The reason I don't have any of the Urban Decay Vice palette is because it's such a random assortment of colorful shadows that I don't feel like I'm necessarily going to be able to get an entire look out of that palette, but I can absolutely get an entire look out of this palette. I never use black shadow, but I know for some people that's a make or break if it's in a palette, and you do have a matte black in here, which is awesome. Within this palette, you do have shimmers and you do have mattes, which is fantastic. You do have a great mixture of those. I love that I do have matte transition, matte crease, matte brow bone highlight, and a matte liner outer corner color. I think that is fantastic. So now to talk about the texture and the formula. So all of these shades are intensely pigmented. So pigment is not lacking whatsoever with this palette. But for the texture, it is not consistent between all of these shades. Even within the finishes, not all the matte shades have the same texture, and not all the shimmer shades have the same texture. Some of these shadows are really dry, some of them are so creamy that they're crumbly, and some of them are the perfect consistency between a dry and creamy shadow. So I don't love that. I wish that the formula was consistent, but overall I feel like the formula is most similar to the Lorac Pro shadows. And with the Lorac Pro, I know it's either a love or a hate. I'm someone that does not like Lorac Pro shadows at all. So not saying that everyone's going to be like me, but I don't really like the formula of the Kat Von D shadows either because it's so similar to Lorac. I know some people don't like Lorac, but they do like Kat Von D, so definitely it's going to be up to you and your personal preference of the type of formula of shadows that you like to work with. These are too creamy and too powdery for me. I feel like when I am blending that crease and transition color on my eye, they kind of get a little bit muddy and they don't look as even as I would like. And I am properly applying them and blending them. So like today, I'm wearing the crease and transition color, and I wanted to make sure to blend them so there wasn't a harsh line, but I feel like it looks like just like the exact same color, which is a little bit annoying. And I know I did pick a crease, lid, and transition color that are all in that Taupe family, but they all look distinctively different in the palette, but on the eye, not so much. So overall, I love the packaging, I love the layout, I love the colors that are in here. I think that they're so gorgeous. But this is not a must-have palette for me. Honestly, if she sold this shade Lunacy in one of her Metal Crush singles, I would buy just that shade and then I would get rid of this palette. That Lunacy shade is so beautiful. It is one of the best taupes I've ever used. I freaking love that shade, but I can honestly do without the rest. I'm not really impressed by these purples. I wish that this light purple wasn't so matte because I feel like it can look a little bit chalky on the eye. I wish it had a little more shine to it just because it is such a light pastel color. I really do love the color of the crease and transition shades, but the formula I do not like at all. So this is not one of my favorite palettes. This is a palette I'm probably going to contemplate selling because I don't love this formulation. It is much too creamy for me. I feel like it blends out to be uneven, a little bit choppy, and I don't really love the final eye look when I'm using this palette as I do with my other shadows, and that's just totally personal preference. I prefer shadows that are a little bit more tightly pressed. That's just what I've always used and fallen in love with. So shadows that are this creamy and buttery are harder for me to work with sometimes. So if you guys have this palette, I would love to know your thoughts. Please let me know what looks you create with it so I can try more looks with this palette. And I want to try to use this more and hopefully fall in love with it. If you guys like the makeup look I'm wearing today, which is using this palette, I will have a tutorial coming very soon. So thank you all so much for watching this video. Please rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.